12 years alongside former UK women's national head team coach Mark Clark. This is Alvaro Martin. It is expected to be close to a sellout crowd, over 16,000 people here at Belgrade Arena. The Serbs dominated. They have not lost a game. They opened up the tournament in group phase against Puerto Rico, had a 20-point lead with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and eventually Puerto Rico had a 14-0 run to close down to 6 as a deficit at the end of that game. And Puerto Rico has won every game since, including beating Latvia, their first win against a European opponent in 8 years. Can they win this game here in Serbia? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out over the next 2 hours. And Mark, this Serbian fan base has come to see this. They think they're in the elite of basketball. This is something they perhaps didn't want to be in, a situation they didn't want to be in, but now that they're here, they need to win, they want to win, they expect to win.
Well, they are in the elite of basketball. Let's make no bones about it. Serbia not only believe it, but deliver. You know, silver medalists from the World Championships. We see the teams already qualified for Rio, and those 3 question marks, as you said, Alvaro, that in the next 2 hours, 2 of those will be punched, and then later on, overnight, tomorrow morning, depending on where you are in the world, Manila will produce the last of the qualifiers. Can Puerto Rico win? You asked that question. Absolutely, they can win. They've got a way of playing. They've got better every game they've played here. They've got a number of things going in their direction. I think there's a number of players on that lineup that know this is their last chance. They're going to leave nothing else out. It's going to be all on the floor. And as well as this crowd is going to be a huge asset to this Serbian team. It's also going to put that pressure. There's an expectation that this is already a done deal. This is the party that sends them off to Rio. It's just a couple of things that we can talk about after the introductions that, you know, Puerto Rico, you can't make them change too much. If you make them change too much to change, they'll lose all the great things they had. Just a couple of adjustments defensively. They don't want to get in a hole, and they've got a real opportunity to keep this crowd quiet. And that's the first thing, get the crowd out the game.
We saw Peter John Ramos and a few very brave souls holding Puerto Rican flags here in this arena. We now will take a look at the Serbian team, ranked 6th in FIBA in the world. Runners-up in Spain at the World Cup of Basketball in 2014, led by their captain, Milos Teodosic.
And you said it right away, that they didn't expect to have to do this. The way they started Eurobasket last year, absolute 0 in the loss column. They beat Spain, the eventual winners, comfortably. They were looking as though a tournament favorite. It was their chance to actually qualify directly. They had a night off. Only scored just 60 points in a game that they lost to Lithuania. This team can have nights off. Obviously for Puerto Rico, you've got to hope for them that this is that night. And they have a night off from beyond the arc. You know, they're a good three-point shooting team. It's not always the most consistent three-point shooting team.
Clearly, both teams have worked very hard to get here. Both had their hardest game just 24 hours ago, where both coaches reduced their rotation significantly as we now go into the presentation of both countries' national anthems, starting with the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico and their anthem, La Borinqueña.
Please rise for the national anthem of Puerto Rico.
Now the anthem of the Republic of Serbia, Bože Pravde, God of Justice.
Molim vas da ostanete da stojite, se intonira himna Srbije. Please remain standing for the national anthem of Serbia.
Of 7 million strong, born to be basketball players, I have to say. The size of the Serbians is really impressive. You see kids on the street that are very, very tall, and they love basketball. Funny, it is, so for some reason, not the #1 sport here in terms of kids practicing it, but in Puerto Rico, a nation of 3.5 million people, it is the undisputed #1 sport. And Puerto Rico, of course, with a history of frustration, trying to make it to the Olympics. We'll go over that during the game. This is another chance, and every time they have to meet the host at their house and try to beat them to win a berth. As we take a look at today's referees, and they've done a great job in this tournament. Daniel Hierrezuelo in the middle from Spain, Michael Weiland of Canada on the left, and the right, Joseph Bisang of France.
Well, you said it, Alvaro's done a great job. The officials going to get a look now at this Puerto Rican roster. And just obviously the highlights of Barrera, Arroyo, and Holland with their NBA and their top European international experience. But you look across the roster and they're starting to get contributions in all sorts of different places. The starting lineup will be interesting because when Ramos starts, it wasn't, it's pretty much the same lineup that they'd like to go with all the time. Ramos's minutes will be interesting because yesterday Puerto Rico did a really nice job defensively trying to switch screens, and Ramos takes that option away from them while he's on the floor. That might really help try and nullify the passing game and the assist game that we've highlighted from Serbia throughout this competition. You made an interesting observation right before we went on air about 3/4 of the points that this roster have come from assists. They pass the ball just phenomenally well. Teodosic just orchestrates, Bogdanovic can shoot the shot, but they do great things off screens and great things off penetration. Jokic, to me, has announced himself as on an international stage. He's had a marvelous tournament, MVP candidate when that award gets handed out. But with Djokovic and Versovic and Klinic, Markovic and Bogdanovic, that's the starting lineup. So both guys are going with their lineups, but then when it really comes down to it, then they get into the rotation.
And don't forget Saša Đorđević, the coach for Serbia. He sees the game from the back to the front, from defense on to offense. And Kalinic has been a key on defense with 7 steals over 3 games.
Yeah, and here are the two highlighted players, and it could have been a number of people, but Jokic has just been phenomenal. Those stats are just out of the top drawer. On top of the 16 points, 7 rebounds, he's dished out nearly 2 assists a game, and has shot the ball nearly 70%. Arroyo, in probably his last international series of games, has at times, and especially in the semi-final, made such great decisions for Eddie Casiano, who in my opinion is probably the coach of the tournament in the way that he's brought this team to this stage.
Great instincts, great knowledge of his personnel, great feel for the game for Saša Đorđević. He follows in such a tradition of coaching in Serbia that absolute success may not be enough. The standards are so high here.
Well, yeah, because while we talked about it being almost a celebration of their trip, when they go to Rio, that's what they're thinking they're going to do. They're going to medal. They believe that they can beat anybody in the world. And they have some guys here that might add to that roster that realistically could put them in a chance of a gold medal game appearance.
It's amazing the luxury of having depth, including people not with this team, including Nemanja Bjelica, who is supposed to be practicing now with the team, Milan Makban as well. practiced the last couple of days for the team for the first time after coming back from injury. And we look at Bogdan Bogdanovic, who's been a force for this team, filling out the stat sheet. Markovic being a great defender for Djordjevic. Haaland also providing tremendous defense. Everything set for this championship game. The winner goes on to Rio. Nothing else, nothing more but glory and the chance at Olympic glory as Peter John Ramos, as usual, comes in, surveys the scene, and gets himself ready for tip-off. He played for the Puerto Rican team in their last Olympics in 2004, along with Carlos Arroyo, the backup point guard, and of course head coach Eddie Casiano, as Hierrezuelo gets ready himself. And Barea wins the tip-off. 21 turnovers for Puerto Rico, including 4 by J.J. Barea in the first game in the group phase. As Vasallo takes an opening shot, and it's good. It's a three-pointer.
Statement of intent by Markovic defensively. He is one of the toughest defenders internationally, but Barea found the open man. And Vasallo had a poor semi-final. That's going to do his confidence so much good, making that open three.
We thought he had problems with his ankle. He had a little injury, but Dr. Luis Molinari said that's not the case. He just had a poor game. Jokic with a three to open up. Rebounded by Markovic. Another opportunity for Serbia. Bertovic with an open three. It's in!
While I said that their three-point shooting can be a little bit, at the highest levels, not great, you can't give them that much time. Wow, that was just stand and look at guys shoot the ball.
Haaland handling the ball for Puerto Rico. Barea is being hounded by Markovic. Intercepted by Jokic. Fast break opportunity. And Kalinic finishes. The assist by Jokic. Nice and easy for Serbia.
Not a great sign for Puerto Rico last time, because when Barrera got rid of it, no one went and screened for him. No one actually gave him an opportunity to work off a screen.
Barea over to Peter John Ramos, and it's a foul on J.J. Barea. I'm sorry, on Peter John Ramos. The behemoth, 222, over 135 kilos. That's 7'3" and over 300 pounds.
Wow, that's a lot of weight pushing Jokic over the way he went over. I didn't quite see as big a push as it was.
Randall Bachman starting Bertovic all the way in. Another offensive board. Jokic loses it. Barea with the strip.
I think Holland's a big deal here. I think he really could attack Kalinic off the dribble. I think that's a matchup that they've really got to try and exploit. Take some pressure off Barea.
Bachman with the switch. Now he's got Bertovic. He stopped. Almost lost the ball. And Ramos is short.
Got to pass the ball more, Puerto Rico. Just got to pass the ball more.
Jokic all the way in for a 4-point Serbian lead. As we take a look at the Serbian women's senior national team in attendance in the front row, as they did last night in the win by Serbia against the Czech Republic. Puerto Rico beat Latvia, first European team they've beaten in 8 years. Barea in traffic. Tough shot. Rebounded by Markovic. Kalinic's got Bogdanovic on the corner. Jokic against Haaland. No look pass, and it's in. Timeout. Eddie Casiano. It's a 6-point Serbian lead early in the first.
Well, Casiano's, I think it's great he's taking the time out early. He didn't need this to start to be a great start by Serbia, but we talked about when the ball is being guarded, you off the ball, you can't actually get frozen looking at the ball. And they've had a number of opportunities now to cut, to slash, and the weak side hasn't picked it up. They've given up a couple of offensive, in fact, 3 offensive rebounds. One of those was eventually lost. But down the other end, it's just they've got to work for each other. It's not the type of game they put on the floor very often, but just make the defense play honest, set the screen away from the ball, give Pereira a little bit of a chance to actually work with some advantage off of a closeout. And that'll give them more of an opportunity to get shots they want. At the moment, Serbia are forcing them to take shots that Serbia want them to take.
If you include Yugoslavia and Serbia-Montenegro, the history between these two countries, 8-4 in favor of now Serbia. Bad shot by Vasallo, way off. And an early 3 by Puerto Rico coming off their timeout.
I'm not sure, the thing that happened the other night when John Holland in particular got very aggressive and went down the middle, the help was slow, and they're always waiting for a person to kick the ball to actually do the 3 like that. So Holland in particular, I think, really could get to the bucket.
Jorge Brian Diaz in on the court, guarding Jokic. He jumps, and Jokic has a play, leading the tournament in points and rebounds, 16 and over 7 per game so far.
Well, he just gave a little bit of education to Diaz with that little second fake and step through.
Diaz can't even hand off the ball to Barea. That's how close he's guarded by Markovic. And Bachman loses it. Stripped by Kalinic. Bogdanovic. It's in. It's raining in Belgrade. It's just raining points in here.
Well, everything that you didn't want to happen if you're a Puerto Rican fan watching this game is happening. They're starting to run and shoot and points off defense. And it all starts with this matchup. Markovic is just doing a phenomenal job.
Tough pass inside. Diaz loses it. Jokic. And a foul by Bachman. That's Ronaldo's first, and that's Puerto Rico's second.
Arroyo's been on the subs bench for about a minute and a half, desperate to get in the game.
Finally does.
And I think this, even though they give up a little bit of size, although Huertas is going to come in the game, Arroyo with Barea, with Holland, go small, see if you can make things happen that way. A little bit surprised that Diaz is in the game so early, but they're going to have to match up length for length.
So Arroyo in. Oh, and Kalinic is wide open. And it's in. They lost track of him.
Diaz just looked at the ball. Just looked at the ball again, and the Kalinic just back cut.
Arroyo and Barrett together. Again, the ball was touched by Bogdanovic. 15 seconds to shoot. Huertas dribbles in, challenges everybody, and misses. And now they've got numbers, the Serbians.
Puerto Rico can't panic. They've done a great job in this tournament playing tough and hanging in games.
Arroyo. And a quick foul by Huertas, I believe. Yes, it's David Huertas with his first foul, third by Puerto Rico. Vasallo back into the game. So Huertas is just there for almost a possession. And Milos Teodosic comes in for Serbia.
Start 16-3, then Milos Teodosic comes in.
Going to break the Puerto Ricans early.
It's a very focused Serbian lineup at the moment.
And Teodosic warms up in a hurry.
Wow. 19-3 after 5.
16 points on 14 shots for Milos in the win against the Czech Republic.
Not sure what happened here. There's some water on the floor. Not sure how it got on the floor and who fell. But I think they're trying to make the point to Saša Đorđević that he can't actually go on the floor. And I think some players were up after the 3 for Teodosic, so that I think someone just fell over some people.
Ricky Sanchez comes into the game.
Look at this crowd. It's like a sold out. 16,000 people.
This building was built in 1991 for the World Basketball Championship because of the wars in the Balkans. That tournament never was held here. It was held in Canada, 94. It's a nice facility. It seats a maximum of 25,000 people if you actually have people stand where the court is right now. They've had actually water polo World Championships here recently and European Championships as well. So it's a really beautiful arena in a city that over 1 million people. That I have to tell you, this summer, this city's just been lovely. Lovely city, nice people, great place to come visit. Lots of history and culture, of course, here. As I think they've cleaned up and dried out the court enough to resume play with halfway through the first quarter.
Well, Ricky Sanchez is in the game, and Cassiano looking for combinations. And that's the difference of Roy at the point gives them instead of Barrera. Barrera's a great scorer, but Roy, even though he's lost a little bit of pace, just handles it so well. So a little fake creates a little half an advantage, and Teodosic has to foul him.
Arroyo left out of the team that played in Mexico. Team Americas stopped inside, and Sanchez wasn't ready. It may have been deflected as well by Kalinic.
And I was just expecting, because they got the switch again, and they exploited the switch a lot against Latvia, where the big switched out onto Arroyo. Thought he was going to pop the shot. I think so Sanchez did. He was going for the glass.
4 turnovers by Puerto Rico. They had 5 last night against Latvia in the entire game. Oh, Bogdanovic all alone. Another three. They're just smiling. They're just having a nice evening here in Belgrade. And Barea with a 5th turnover by Puerto Rico. Stefan Jovic on the court and a foul by Vasallo, and Cassiano needs a timeout again. It's a meltdown.
Yeah, it's a meltdown, and it's almost like a warm-up, a hotting up, because they've come out, Serbia at the start of this game, they're not missing, they're moving the ball really well, and you can't win games in the first quarter, but you can dig yourself such a hole, you almost make it impossible to come back. So they just have to stage the game out now, win the last 4 minutes of this period. You know, it doesn't matter if it's 20, it's 19, it doesn't matter if it's 18, they've got to win the next part of the game, work their way back in. They've got people who can score, but they've got to decide as a group to give it up for each other. The field goal percentage, 82%. And they missed a little gimme as well on a putback. And it's just, you couldn't start any better than Serbia have. And that's what Cassiano, I'm sure, is saying. They can't play better than this. They won't play better than this. They will cool down. We just can't beat ourselves. So try and get some screens away from the ball. Someone on this team has to give their body up for Barrera. Someone on this team has to give their body up for Asiel from the perimeter. Oh, Ricky Sanchez. Diaz has got to just go and lay his body on people to get some switches, to get some easier looks. Because at the moment, they have got nothing easy for literally 6 minutes.
Puerto Rico had 21 turnovers against Serbia in their first game. And from the outset, the pressure, defensive pressure Serbia laid on Puerto Rico in that game was unbelievable. And we're seeing it again. We're seeing it again in the first quarter. A cut to Jokic, and again, staring at the ball, coming off the timeout.
And he just slipped down, he just sliced down the middle. They showed a little zone with people at the back. It just stood still.
Ball deflected by Kalinic. No backboard. 10 seconds to shoot, though. Sanchez against Jovic. Tough shot, but it's in by Ricky Sanchez. About as decisive a shot as he's taken in Belgrade.
Wow. They scored in the first minute, then they've scored in the 6th minute of the half. That's 5 dry minutes for Puerto Rico.
Sanchez with a winning three-pointer beat Mexico at the close of Centro Basket just a few weeks ago in Panama City. Kalinic, it's good! Another three, and that weak side wide open three is killing Puerto Rico right now.
Ricky Sanchez, to be fair to him, the mechanics were good because he had to help Diaz, so he stopped it going inside as he takes the three. And then it was just slow on the recovery. The mechanics were there. You just got to commit yourself to just flying with the flight of the ball.
Foul by Sanchez on Jokic. He'll go to the line. We're seeing the Puerto Rico substitution pattern right now. They look like Grand Central Station, New York City. Shuffling people in and out. Every opportunity now. Bachman and Huertas back in. Is there a danger of over-substituting?
I think Cassiano's trying to find a unit that gets a couple of stops, finds a unit that gets a couple of makes. Any unit will do at the moment. And the activity down low, the only surprise here is that Clemente hasn't got in the game. because he is one of the guys that plays with energy, might come up with a steal, might come up with a big rebound, just might be active.
I saw him have a conversation with team doctor Luis Molinari right before the start of the game. I'm wondering.
Well, that'll be a huge loss just in terms of energy, and it's infectious. His energy is infectious.
Jokic 1 out of 2. Played 22 minutes, 10 points, 7 boards for the Denver Nuggets in 80 out of 82 games in the NBA regular season last year. All right, with an open 3. And rebounded by Bertovic.
But that was there. They got a down screen to release Barrera. I know someone fell over, but they got a down screen. They got some action away from the ball. Barrera had his feet set.
Foul by Arroyo.
That's the first time he's had his feet set. And they're in the penalty now. So for the last 3 minutes, they're going to go to the free throw line. You know, if there's anything else that can happen here in the first quarter that is negative for Puerto Rico, I don't know what it is.
Miroslav Radulica is in the court now. He had a nice game. He didn't miss from the field or from the free throw line, as we see Nikola Kalinic make the first free throw. Kalinic, of course, a youngster, relatively speaking, 24-year-old from Fenerbahce, teammates with Bogdan Bogdanovic as well.
Yeah, Kalinic had an okay season. He had moments in the year where he looked right, but he genuinely struggled in some of the tougher games as opposed to the performances of Bogdanovic. He has looked a different level to his club form in these, especially in the last 2 games. He really has upped his level.
Marko Simonovic comes in for him. Simonovic started game 1 against Puerto Rico. Tough shot and blocked by Simonovic. Tough pass. And Barea corrals it with 10 seconds to shoot against Teodosic. Against the world, really. And the putback by Bachman, a foul by Bertovic.
But isn't that, it's more active now. Borkman's on the glass, they kept the other one alive. And I know that, you know, Arroyo, when he penetrates and takes the really tough one, 3 white shirts challenging it, no red shirt moves. They've just got to get into moving off the ball, even if it's going in the glass, which is what Borkman did on the last shot.
You would think that a team that's shooting 85%, that's missed only 2 of 13 shots like Serbia has, would be a little down in the rebound category, right? Wrong. They're leading Puerto Rico in rebounding 9-3.
Yeah, and Puerto Rico got no chance to defensively rebound. And they just not get into the offensive glass. So they don't get the easy number at the defensive end if they box out because they're just not missing.
Serbia has 1 more rebound on Puerto Rico's defensive end than Puerto Rico does. As Bachman makes the free throw and cuts the lead, the deficit down to 23. Foul on Barea.
Barea doesn't need, I know he's going to have the little discussion with the other official from Spain who didn't make the call, but it's a cheap one. You know, he just doesn't need to do that. Leaves the elbow hanging there. And right in front of Mr. Bisang, he's going to call that. Now's the time just to knuckle down and try and work your way back in. There are 3 quarters in this game to go. You're 23 down. Don't give a good free throw shooting team little gimmies from the line.
2 for 4 for Jovic in this tournament from the free throw line. He makes the first. Barea will take a seat. Holland's in for Puerto Rico. Holland and Huertas together. And again, the only ball handler, true ball handler here is Arroyo. Makes both. Arroyo had a shot, decided to keep moving. But with a dribble and a foul by Stefan Jovic.
And it's just continuous, relentless. They come off the bench, they pick you up. Come off the bench, they're ready to play at the offensive end. So now, like Markovic was just unbelievable defensively at the start. Now it's Jovic turn off the bench to just do a job.
Arroyo dribbles in traffic, misses it. Radulica with the defense. And here comes Simonovic, 3-on-1. And he hammered it home. Marko Simonovic gives Serbia a 27-point lead. And a kick ball by Stefan Jovic.
Carlos Arroyo, when he penetrates, the whole Serbian defense will collapse because no one moves. They don't have to guard anyone on the perimeter because no one moves to see the ball.
Huertas, tough shot against Teodosic. Berčević facing the basket for a three. Wow. Amazing. 6 of 7 from behind the arc. It's his second three-pointer. Passing is an adventure for Puerto Rico right now. Sanchez. Step back shot. Rebounded by Jovic. 1 minute to go in this first quarter. Holland hanging on to Berčević, commits a foul. Nope. I'm sorry.
Yep.
3 seconds?
No, I think it was an offensive foul.
Yes, by Berčević.
I think Berčević just wanted to make a point. He's had a few little bumps at him, so he wasn't going to go for a couple of possessions without letting him have one back, and he just happened to do it right in front of the official.
The cost of doing business.
Yeah, and Markovic comes back in, so the defense just was great, and there it becomes even better again.
The paint has been shut for Puerto Rico. Huerta tries to get in, he gets fouled by Berčević.
And with all this pressure, they've only just hit the 15th foul. So their defense, as well as being intense, as well as working incredibly hard, has just been so fundamentally sound. And they've now only picked up the 15th foul with 19.5 minutes to go. It's just a clinic of defensive pressure. Half-court pressure, no up the floor, just work you out over the half-court.
So Puerto Rico with only 2 points in the paint against 14 out of the 37 Serbian points. Huertas nailed to first. Brought in as a defensive stopper. He also became a very good three-point shooter with the champion Hierrezuelo captains in the Puerto Rican League, 11-team league. Substitutions. Serbia, Bogdanovic back in the game. And Berčević will take a seat with a great all-around game, including 2 three-pointers.
Well, they put the small lineup out on the floor now because Simonovic is at the 4. You know, they'll stretch the floor now very, very wide. They're going to look to really pull this defense apart and attack space.
Quick pass inside, Raduljica against Sanchez. No good, and Sanchez grabbed the rebound.
Well, Puerto Rico would love to go into the half in double figures. At the quarter, at the end of the quarter in double figures.
Just mentally, huh?
Oh, God.
Inside to Bachmann. Beautiful alley-oop between Arroyo and Bachmann. And that is the end of a very one-sided first quarter. Serbia trying to punch their ticket early. Leads Puerto Rico by 26. A meltdown, a beatdown, you name it. Whatever word you use, it's okay. It applies. Puerto Rico in a 26-point hole at the end of one.
And we get the replay of the last. Simonovic comes off the bench and dunks it in transition. There isn't a part of the game here that Serbia haven't excelled at. You know, you get the confirmation of the scoreline. They've got it under, 37 to 11. They've got into double figures, a 26-point margin. The good story is they still have 30 minutes to try and work their way back into this game. 22% from the field. They're not that bad a team. They're going to shoot better than that. Serbia going to go 78 and 75. Not for the game, they're not. You know, it's not a surprise when you shoot that percentage that you've only got 2 defensive rebounds. There's only been 4 of them up there to try and rebound. You know, so there's the first part of Cassiano's job is to just get it within a manager, get it to a 20-point game, and then see where you are. They've got to win the next quarter. If they lose the next quarter, it's there's no point in trying to say there's a way back, they might be able to come back, etc., etc. They have to win the second quarter to stay alive, go into halftime, regroup, and it's not with the little cheap stuff, and you just got to work it out. You just got to get yourself down defensively, play hard, believe that they're not going to shoot 75% for the rest of the game from the three-point line, and then just make that sure you box out. Try and get something going in transition. Don't forget, Holland inspired Puerto Rico to a big fourth quarter. Have that fourth quarter now. Win this quarter. Win it by 8. Do the same thing they did in the fourth quarter the other night. Get positive at halftime.
Alongside Mark Clark, this is Alvaro Martin. Welcome to the second quarter. Serbia leads Puerto Rico by 26, an offensive foul by Raduljica.
Well, there you go. A little bit of pressure from Holland. Raduljica has to do a little bit too much to get the ball to Teodosic. They get a positive straight off the bat within 9 seconds at the start of the period.
Same lineup that finished the first quarter for Puerto Rico. Oh, Ricky Sanchez just took his eye off the ball.
You know, it's when it's not, you know, Sanchez isn't looking, Arroyo still throws it, and you're like, come on, don't hurt yourselves anymore.
Officially, it's Arroyo's third turnover. Inside, again! Simonovic cutting from the weak side, and again Puerto Rico guilty of looking at the ball. Arroyo. To Sanchez for the corner three, it's in. Ricky Sanchez for the three. Much more decisive today.
Well, and we thought that if he had a decisive game and built on everybody else, that would be a big plus. Well, he is a bit of a plus. He's just not getting a lot of help.
Bogdanovic short this time. So he can miss, huh? A struggle, a hustle, and the ball in the hands of Puerto Rico, and a foul on Markovic.
Well, that's two little defensive hustle plays, and they get a couple of steals. You can take the Arroyo turnover out, and then, you know, it's a very positive start to the second period.
And again, Ricky Sanchez on the hustle. You know, Puerto Rico's winning this quarter. So far, it's early, as Jokic will come back into the game, and Simonovic will take a breather. And again, a warning to the Serbian bench to sit down. Two-man game. Over to Bachman. Over to Sanchez. Quick pass up to Teodosic. And we fouled. Let's see, but the foul on. It is.
Personal foul, number 23, John Holland.
On Holland.
All the things we talked about before the game in terms of how they could potentially take Serbia out of the game, they're null and void now. They've just got to do what they do in terms of what they've decided to how to prepare. Do that as well as they can, and hope that's enough to get them into a positive situation in this quarter.
Teodosic pops and misses, rebounded by Huertas. Suddenly they're missing shots. Arroyo with a hesitation, almost off the dribble. Huertas. Tough shot against Bogdanovic, and he picks up the ball. Ball deflected by Puerto Rico. It belongs to Serbia with 19 to shoot. Very active hands by John Holland. Had a fine tournament so far. He scored 10 of the 14 Puerto Rican points in that 14-0 run to close that game against Serbia and make it respectable. Oh, contact down below, and the foul is on Sanchez. Sanchez claims a bit of an acting job on the part of Markovic.
I'm sure you're going to see, I didn't see the play, but I'm sure on the replay, if we get a look at it, you'll see Sanchez extend his arms. And if he's not, then he might have a case in point.
That was a little,
He's just
clear shove.
Just shoving him.
Why bother appealing?
Stay in stance, get your body there, stop reaching. He does the same thing on the defensive glass, and they're asking down the other end. The Serbians have not reached down the other end. They put their bodies there. Just got to get down and take that space away.
14 to shoot. Milos misses again. The third straight three-pointer missed by Serbia. Huertas outnumbered. Sometimes that doesn't matter anything to him. And he's fouled by Teodosic. I'm sorry, no, he traveled.
He traveled up, mishandled. That's when you make this 3 white shirts. Make the decision a little sooner. Wait for your guys to get there. It's got to bring Barrera back, surely. They just don't have enough scorers on the floor to start eating into this league. As good as Huertas has done defensively. And how long can Arroyo go? Is that going to be the substitution? I think Arroyo and Barrera might give them opportunities. Djordjevic knows that, you know, there's that points off turnover stat, 14 points off their turn. They turn their defense into points. They really do release. Djordjevic ain't gonna let up here. He's taking the time out. They missed a few shots. And Puerto Rico have had some transition, so he's gonna talk about it straight away. He doesn't want this to become any momentum building for Puerto Rico.
We talked about the great tradition of coaching, and you can look at different coaches that have sat on that bench for the Yugoslavia, Serbia, Montenegro, Serbia. One that comes to mind, Olympic gold in Moscow, silver in Mexico and Seoul. If we take a look at Serbian President Tomislav Nikolic in the center of your screen, and Patrick Baumann, the FIBA CEO to the left on your screen, Secretary General. Saravica, also a gold at the Worlds in Yugoslavia in 1970, silver at the Worlds in Montevideo, bronze at the Worlds in Colombia, and 2 more silvers in Eurobasket in Italy in '69, Germany '71. That's just one coach. And you're the heir to that tradition.
Yep. Beautiful
shot now by Bogdanovic. Coming off the timeout by Djordjevic. A 28-point Serbian lead.
I mean, I could say things like make him, you know, put it on the floor.
Barea with a discount on the other end. He gets onto the scoring table here. Barea a little frustrated. 1 for 4 so far this game. Almost intercepted by Bachman.
They're the plays that they've got to come up with. They've got to come up with effort plays down the defensive end. And Barea may well be frustrated, but he's got to play the next play because he's one of the few ways that Puerto Rico might get this back to a manageable number. And Arroyo's going to have to go as long as he can, because when he's at the point and Barea's at the two guard, they're better balanced.
Raduljica, extra pass to Jokic, and again staring at the ball.
It wasn't even that far. It wasn't even a real big back cut. It was just like, it's just gone right past someone.
Offensive foul by Barea.
And that's what it does to you.
Personal foul number 5.
And I think Arroyo's got a point. There is a little bit of, you know, riding on the hip, but Markovic is forgetting everybody else on the floor and just guarding Barea.
Bogdanovic all the way against Ricky Sanchez. Barea with 2 fouls. Puerto Rico with 3 this quarter. And Serbia leads the quarter 9-6. Bachman just short. Almost a strip by Sanchez. Back inside, deflected by Sanchez. Here comes Barea, and a foul by Raduljica. Unsportsmanlike foul. Not tactical this time.
See, Barea is now like complaining that he didn't let the game go because he thinks he's in transition, he's going to score, but he's got 2 and possessions.
JJ, one of the top free throw shooters coming into tonight. Makes both. Right now, Barea, 15 of 19 from the line. Only surpassed in this tournament by John Holland, who's missed only 1 of 16 free throws. That's the kind of tournament Holland's had. As Manolo Cintron on the left, the assistant and former Puerto Rico national team head coach, speaks to the 43-year-old Eddie Casiano, former player, now coach in the Puerto Rican League. Holland, no foul called, and another rebound by Jokic.
Oh, they forced a tough shot. They're just doing an absolutely great job. Oh,
inside again to Jokic, easy for him. Making a case.
He ran the whole length. He was the guy defensively rebounding it. He ran the rim, gets right to it. No one guards it.
Long shot by Barea, rebounded by Stefan Jovic. Cross court to Kalinic. No alley-oop this time. Still 15 seconds to shoot. That early offense gets some time, and Ramon Clemente finally made it onto the court. Additional pass to Jovic. Short. Last touched by Bachman. It belongs to Serbia. Nothing's going right for Puerto Rico. Nothing. As Alex Galindo will come onto the court. Puerto Rico has used everybody but Guillermo Diaz. 12 magnificent ones. 12 magnificos. Right now, on the not so magnificent receiving end of a 31-point domination by Serbia early in this half, early in this game, I should say. Halfway through the second quarter. A whistle and a foul. And the foul is on Galindo.
Again, you can see he's out of position, so he just shoves Klinic out of bounds.
Team penalty, Puerto Rico.
Jovic hounded inside the Jokic, the extra pass and the hammer by Bergovic. And again, Galindo fell asleep.
Well, you know, Borgman tried to make something happen with a double team. They rotate to one pass, and Galindo's still standing at the foul line, and they get one on the weak side with the extra pass.
We just took a brief look at the Japanese delegation still watching these games. They're leaving tomorrow. Ray exploring with that dribble, turnaround shot, it's in.
It's a tough shot, but by comparison, when he gets in there is no lane to cut to because they've all rotated and they're all aware. With all the red shirts, stand still.
Nedovic in the game outside of Kalinic. Almost stripped and finally fouled by Clemente, who believes it was all ball.
Personal
They'll do
foul
Ramon's
number
first
1.
foul.
Ramon Clemente. His
Puerto
first.
Rico now, of course, over the limit. Took that goal ball indeed.
Kalinic.
Kalinic to the line. Kalinic for Fenerbahce, a 76% free throw shooter.
Clinton's already in double figures for this game. Both ends of the floor. As I said earlier on, he has stepped up a level from his performances from Fenerbahce. And that's why I sometimes can't understand why people sort of decide whether they're going to play national team or not. This has been a big plus for Klinic's program so far, and you're building towards the Olympic Games. This is going to help his career while he's helping his country.
He has made all 9 free throws he's attempted in 4 games. Nice cut by Bachman, but again, he can't finish against Jokic.
And 4 white shirts just crashed the glass defensively.
Bachman remains behind, arguing with the refs. Meanwhile, Barea has to guard Jokic. That's what happens when you argue with the refs. Nothing good will come out of it. Galindo, fouled by Simonovic, who cut late, closed late. That's his first foul.
Personal foul number 5.
And that is
on
team
the score.
third in this
First,
quarter.
team's 4.
I'm sorry, the fourth, as now Jorge Brian Diaz is back in the game. He had a nice game against Latvia with 6 of his 10 points coming in the last, in the critical fourth quarter.
Really did suit what Coach Cassiano was putting on the floor in terms they needed to be a bit more active. His length, he's active enough, did a nice job.
What would be his next step, developmental step, you think?
Well, I think
he's a foul on Nedovic.
I think it's, at the end of the day,
Personal foul number 11. Nemanja Nedovic.
he's already 29?
25.
25. And it's like, for me, is he going to play at the level consistently? He's been exposed to like NCAA basketball. He's been exposed to European basketball.
Not really. He's really only played in the Puerto Rican League.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where he thinks his career is going to take him.
He briefly went to an Argentine team, but apparently there were some contractual issues, and he didn't make it into the regular season. He just practiced with them during the preseason.
He doesn't look to me as though he did a nice job against Latvia, but he's the same guy that was there 2 years ago in Seville, where again he did a nice job in certain games. So with players retiring, he's going to have to take on a much more leadership role. It's whether he can, step into that role.
Jokic against Diaz. And Galindo grabs the rebound. Solid defense by Diaz against Jokic. Arroyo. And stepped on the line. Turnover. Arroyo's fourth. Bisang was right there. Excellent position by the referee.
Look at that, the shape of that Serbian defense in terms of rotating to the line of the ball, not really creating any drive or cut lane into the keyway. And Galindo really could have just moved, even if he moves just another foot towards the baseline, he becomes an easier pass. And it's those margins.
They create a 31-point difference. You see a foul on Galindo, his second.
Personal foul, number 15, Alexander Galindo, his second.
It's almost the wrong type of effort now. The push is out of bounds, the foul's away from the ball, and Serbia will just go on. Just tick it over from the free throw line. They won't care where they get them from in the last 3 minutes of this first half.
You talked about Puerto Rico giving themselves a mental boost by winning the second quarter, where they're down 5, down 6 now with the free throw by Simonovic. And he makes both. Barea cuts to the lane. Radulica comes out at the last minute. Then the put down by Ramon Clemente.
Well, that's the point we were making earlier on in terms of Bulkman did it a little bit. Shot with help, got a chance to go to the offensive glass. That's the first time we've really seen it.
Bulkman had a double-double in the game yesterday against Latvia, but basically had over 2 days rest. And he hasn't had rest. He's been playing non-stop since the beginning of the D-League, playing for the Texas Legends. Radulica, no good. Serbia extending their possession to the very end. Whatever being pursued. And a nice block by Simonovic, but back into the hands of Moncho Clemente. Arroyo attacking Radulica, and he gets in. Good life by Puerto Rico. And now a timeout.
Timeout, Serbia.
For Serbia, as the lead is back down to 31. Little sign of life by Puerto Rico.
See, Barrera with that one to the far side of the ring with the big follow by Clemente. The play before Arroyo scored just before the timeout. I don't know if he was fouled or not, but he stopped playing. And we haven't seen that from him or the Puerto Rican team at all in this tournament. And they've been in some difficult situations. They didn't stop playing the other night against Serbia, and they had diff situations against Latvia. They played through it. I don't know if this is that's the replay of the one to the far side of the ring with the follow. Yeah, so Arroyo carried on playing. He gets the layup while Barrera's still talking to the official. You're down 29 points. It's not the officials that you're down 29 points for. And I still say try and get something out of these last few moments of this first half. It's a huge hole in front of 16,000 people to try and think about coming back from it. But you can't control that. You can control your performance. You can control how you get back in this.
And your effort.
Yeah, just play through it. The referee's not going to look. What's the referee going to do? Look at the scoreboard and think you're getting a bad deal?
67% shooting for the Serbs, 30% shooting now for Puerto Rico, so things have improved slightly.
And we said that they wouldn't shoot at 75. 67 is still phenomenal.
Foul on Correa as Kalinic attacked the basket.
All right, Kalinic just walked through the keyway. There, catches it. No one anywhere near it. And Correa just reaches and fouls.
Third foul on Correa, and he doesn't want to come out of the game.
Brown, it's like there's no point taking him out at this point of the game. They're down by 30. He's got to work because he's one of the guys who can score in a hurry. He can get back-to-back threes. He can make things happen if they get a few stops.
Kalinic with a couple of points. He's got 13. Along with Nikola Jokic, the scoring leaders for Serbia. Arroyo, take and bake, offline. And Simonovic takes it out of bounds. It belongs to Puerto Rico with 14 seconds to shoot.
No passes, though. No passes, no penetration, no makes the defense turn. It's always dribbled in front. And I really did think Arroyo was doing a really nice job at creating advantage for other people.
I think they feel pressured to just score. See the ball go through the hoop. They go back to their instincts, which is a dribble.
Oh, yeah. Always go back to your most common behavior. Always.
Back to Clemente for a long three. That's not his shot. He misses.
Almost the wrong way around.
Nedovic posting up Arroyo. Nedovic again with a three, and it belongs to Puerto Rico. Jorge Brian Diaz. No screening for Arroyo. No, a little screening for Barrera, switch. And he misses his shot.
He's just having to manufacture some tough shots out there. It's just, everything's a tough play.
A strip without a foul for Barrera. He's got 3 fouls, 3 on 1. Barrera, tough shot. No good, rebounded by Arroyo.
What on earth was the shot?
They're desperate to see the ball go through that hoop. Galindo, a three-pointer. A little long, and it belongs to Serbia.
They had a 3-on-1 that come up empty.
Off a steal. Ooh, that's, yeah, the ball's part of the hand's part of the ball, right?
It's a very long hand, though, where he's...
A lot of metacarpals, right?
Yeah.
Foul on Galindo. Puerto Rico now over the limits with 30 seconds, 30 seconds to go in the half.
His third. 2 shots.
Is there enough ice in the Puerto Rico dressing room to put your head in that bucket and forget what happened in the first half?
You know, it's no. I look at it from the positive side. That first quarter was just only a team that could match them scoring-wise, because they were just knocking down shots for fun. A team would have had to go out and shoot as well to stay with them. I don't know if there's a team that would have stayed with them anywhere in terms of shooting the ball that well and scoring that many points.
About a 4-second difference between clocks. Puerto Rico wants to run out their possession as best they can. Arroyo. Simonovic stays with him. It makes them take a very difficult shot, and Raduljica saves it. Ball deflected, and that is the end of a first half. A scintillating first half for Serbia. A forgettable first half for the Islanders. 60-27. 33-point lead by Serbia at the half.
Well, these stats, the only good thing you can say is they've drawn down from 75 to 47 from the three-point line. They've made 6 in that first period. They only made 1 in that second. So that, you know, that's I'm desperately trying to find a positive for Puerto Rico here. And it's, you know, they've turned the ball over more. They've been out-rebounded. The other team has shot the ball better than them. They've started to self-destruct a little bit. So it's going to be a really interesting locker room. They've scored 60 and the leading scorer has 13. So you know they've shared the points out as well as any team does, because they move the ball so well. It doesn't matter whose turn it is, because they're only taking open shots. And it's a 33-point margin. Can they come back? Well, it's never say never, but something dramatic would have to happen for Serbia not to punch that ticket.
Serbia is
for the Rio Days.
Serbia is plus 17 on points off turnovers. Plus 15 on points in the paint. Plus 7 in fast break points. And the halftime lead happens to be the largest lead of the game forward.
What do? You know, at the end of the day, they decided, it looked like, to offer the three-point shot, but they knocked down 75% in the first quarter. So you're already in a hole. But you know, they've only made 1 in that second period. It's it's one of those scenarios where if that's what you think, then go with the fact of trying to offer him the 3.
So if you're Cassiano and you've seen the spectacle of the first half, who do you trust, who do you rely on for the second half? Who do you say, okay?
He's down 33. He's got to give it a shot in the first part of the third period, put his most productive offensive lineup out on the floor. And if that means asking Carlos Arroyo to play, please, I hope he pleads with his guys to set some screens for Barrera to come off screens, but please move the ball. Clemente was as effective as anybody else. I still think Baldwin and Clemente has looked his best combination because they're quick and they play in a particular way. Go out and switch. Go out and try and make stuff happen. If guys foul out, so what? You know, it's a one-off game. See what you get. First 5 minutes, if you're in plus and the credit, try to build. But it's a 33-point margin. Let's be serious about it against the 6th-ranked team in the world, the silver medalist in the World Championship, some of the best players in the world. They're trying to come back from 33. This will be one of the best comebacks ever in any sport.
And for the Serbs, just brilliance. 3-point shooting for Serbia at 47%. Overall shooting, 63%. Rebounding margin, plus 10. I mean, listen to this one. No, this matters. This has to be a mistake. Hold on for a second. Yeah, there is a mistake. There must be a mistake because they have 21 assists on 20 made baskets.
That's an interesting stat.
That, I mean, it looks that way.
Well, unless they're sometimes depending, you might get the assist for a foul in the act of. So if they've gone down that route, then even better.
Unbelievable. They have one more assist officially than one more made basket. And that's what it looks like to Puerto Rico right now. A complete domination by Serbia. We'll be back in a few minutes with the second half of this final game of the qualifying tournament for the 2016 Rio Olympic Games here in Belgrade.
A najveći aplauz za Nastasiju koja je pogodila jednu trojku i osvojila je glavnu nagradu, a to su patike Miloš Teodosić, zvaničnog tima sponzora kompanije PIK. Jedna je aplauz za Nastasiju, ajmo da čujem. Spremamo se za drugo polovreme, da bude isto kao i prvo i velika podrška
The Puerto Ricans came out of the locker room down 33 against Serbia in this ticket-punching game. The winner will go to Rio, and right now, increasingly, it looks like Serbia. It would have to be a miraculous comeback for Puerto Rico and a tremendous meltdown by Sasha Djordjevic's team. Neither is necessarily expected. Mark Clark and Alvaro Martin joining you again from Belgrade Arena. We know what Cassiano has to do and how to motivate this, and what he has to say to his team. What about Djordjevic? What did it for them in the second half?
Well, it's normally you're in that scenario in most games where you're up, you're be able to maintain. And sometimes that's difficult. But when you've got a game where it's like, hey, at the end of this game, we're going to the Olympic Games, they're going to, and you've got a packed house. You're not going to want to get sloppy. There are guys that are going to get time. There are great players that haven't been on the floor. They're going to want to join this party. I don't see Serbia letting up. Straight away, Markovic all over Barea. The ball hasn't even come in.
Again, the Serbians unbeaten coming into this game, including a win over Puerto Rico by 6, but that game was wide open. It was a 20-point Serbian lead with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and Puerto Rico closed it with a 14-0 run in that fourth quarter to make it look respectable. Now they're down 33, and Arroyo starts the second half for Puerto Rico. And Clemente and Bachmann together as well with Sanchez.
Not a bad lineup.
The best offensive lineup you were describing, and Arroyo makes a three.
If Ricky Sanchez plays physically enough, this is a very, very good lineup. And, let's see what happens. Let's see if they can tick it over and put some pressure on the Serbian team.
You'll have to guard Kalinic. And there's a switch now on Jokic. Trying to deny the right hand. A little banging going on here. And a quick move to the basket.
Super move. It's a super move. he's got to get some help down there. You know, if 2 dribbles is normally the count.
Inside to Clemente. No angle there. He just put it up, and no foul either. He hustles for the ball, and it's off.
Oh.
No, it's off Clemente. It looked like it was off Bogdanovic, but Michael Weiland was right there.
I think he's going to say that as he was throwing the ball back, he was out of bounds. That's the only way it wouldn't be. Great effort by Clemente. And again, though, if you get the chance to watch and know how to play defense against the big guy underneath, they just didn't reach, and they just played the free foot for Clemente, so they couldn't get an angle. It's just a clinic.
Clemente played for the Liga Nacional de Basket in Argentina with the Ferro team, a very classic team that went back to the first division this year. Wow, a hack on Markovic. Bachman commits the foul.
That's a great screen and rescreen. You only got the rescreen because Barrera went underneath. Jokic then dropped and pivoted, so therefore he screened him off as they rescreened.
Second foul on Ronaldo.
Just no rotation and help away from the basketball again, and that time Markovic gets fouled.
Puerto Rico going over the limit early in each of the 2 quarters so far. Bachman, again, I mentioned to you, he basically plays year-round. If there's a league after this game ends, he'll sign up for it. Give him 24 hours to get there, he'll sign up. There's tremendous wear and tear. It's no coincidence that his best game yesterday came after essentially 2.5 days rest. Ten to shoot. Correa fakes the pass, goes to the basket, and scores. So J.J. Barea now with 11 points to lead Puerto Rico. Down below, wow, it looked like Ricky was vertical, but there's a foul on Sanchez as Berchevich attacked the basket. For Ricky, it is his 3rd. And a technical foul on Casiano by Michael Weiland, refs in the Puerto Rican League, and knows Casiano very well.
I think the request is, that's a soft foul. The Ricky Sanchez foul looked a soft foul compared to what was going on down here. And if we won't be able to, we're obviously the other end of the floor from our position. Couldn't see it. We'll only be able to see it if they do show a replay. Here it comes, the replay. He's not straight up. It's a soft foul, but he's not straight up. And he may put his head, but his arms weren't straight. And then the smart player, as Berchevich is, will just go through that arm. It's an automatic. And Casiano doesn't have the benefit of the replay. It still looks a really soft foul.
Right. Well, that's where the verticality technique and a little wiliness would help. But Ricky commits his 3rd and the tech. And here we go again. Jokic. Attacks again. And the ball in the hands of Arroyo. Foul on Markovic.
Barrera trying to draw the foul, but he could have given the ball up to Barrera early because in transition he's not guarded. He's got a little bit of space to play. So he could have just kicked it to Barrera in the corner, and Barrera could have had an open look.
Second foul on Markovic. It's the first by Serbia in this 3rd quarter. A switch, Arroyo is on Jokic. And a foul by Nikola, his 1st.
And almost the answer that Casiano has come up with is take the whole pace out of the game, and Arroyo can do that. And even Markovic then got caught. Do I help? Do I not help? And if they start making the right decisions, they'll tick the scoreboard over. And that'll get them a foothold. It's a mountain to climb, but if they're going to get a foothold in it, and then who knows?
Correa continues to talk to head referee Daniel Hierrezuelo of Spain. And he's not buying himself, he's not winning friends and influencing people.
Not at all.
Jokic, nice turn, loses the handle, scores anyway against Clemente.
He just has so much control. His footwork is just tremendously efficient. And even if he got into a bad place, great extension on little jump hook, finishes the play. Markovic is still all over Barrera.
Arroyo. Put out all the way in. Normally he makes that shot a little bit too much on that shot. As Burcevic gets the foul, gets the bucket. Bachman commits the foul. 3-on-1 fast break. And the foul actually is on Arroyo.
Substitution. Puerto Rico, Diaz or Bachman.
Every time a Puerto Rican ball handler, Barrera or Arroyo, penetrates and misses, Serbia goes off to the races right away. A three-point play by Stefan Burcevic. He's got 13, so 3 Serbians with 13 points and 1 with 17 in Nikola Jokic. Jokic with 7 boards and 4 assists. Is he making a case or is he making a case?
Well, he's made the case for me.
5 to shoot.
Again, 3 Serbians jumped in to help. No one moved.
Jorge Brian Diaz.
Nice move.
They're going to give him the bucket.
Diaz.
Came real close at the end of the shot clock. Inside and out to Kalinic. Extra pass. Look at Bogdanovic. And he gets fouled on his way to the basket. Did he pass up a higher percentage shot just to take a lower percentage shot here?
Well,
I mean, given his three-point prowess.
well, no, but given the culture is that you take the higher percentage shot, it doesn't matter what the situation is, and someone offered him the lane, so he took it. And you know, you mentioned about the Puerto Ricans reverting back to their most common behavior. Well, Bogdanovic is on his most common behavior here. There's a high percentage shot I can get to the basket, I will do. If you give me an open 3, I'll take that. But if I've got the open lane, I'm going to try and take it. And he'll take the hit. He's a little bit deceptive. He's very, very strong, can take that hit.
He's had a couple of fine games on the assist category in his last couple of outings. Now he's got 15 points, and now he has 6 assists. And they haven't needed Milos Teodosic today.
No. Well, they started, so we said, well, they were up 16 and he came in. See, no one comes to the top on that play. The defense all sags, it collapses, no one comes high.
Barrera with a three-pointer with 5 seconds to shoot. And some real trouble getting this offense in gear. It's just, they're just out of sorts, out of sync at this point.
You just have to credit the pressure. The pressure's just take him out of it.
A 3 by Bogdanovic.
Well, there's no drive lane, I'm open, no one's in my face, I will shoot the ball.
His 4th three-pointer in 6 attempts.
See, even now there's rules that Đorđević has put on the floor. And again, 4 white shirts get level, they drop to the line of the ball, and no one makes an easy pass lane or an angle for the person with the ball.
Markovic played some unbelievable defense today. Gets some rest. Radulica, Simonovic come in. Burcevic also taking a seat. The ladies, senior women's national team, enjoying the show.
They've already punched their ticket because they won the Eurobasket. Great performance by them and a tremendous performance by Coach Malkovic.
Arroyo, a three-pointer. That's his 2nd one today. Serbia winning this quarter by a point, 16-15. Overall, Puerto Rico down by 34. Radulica against Jorge Brian Diaz. And a foul by Diaz pushing off on Miroslav. Miroslav accompanied Coach Đorđevic to Panathinaikos.
And has left at the same time as Coach Đorđevic leaves.
Đorđevic lost the major European club competition against, he was swept by Vitoria, and then was let go in April this year, and Raduljica settled his contract with Panathinaikos. He's looking for a new deal. If it's the NBA or if it's another destination, we'll see. He had a tough first game against Puerto Rico, and Peter John Ramos played 6 minutes, committed 5 fouls, and that's about all he did. Missed one shot, intercepted by Simonovic. Perfectly read, inside to Jovic, to Simonovic. That's how you run a fast break.
See in the play before, as you see Milan Makvan in the crowd, Ricky Sanchez just didn't move far enough. The other pass was an easy pass for Simonovic to read.
Numbers for Serbia. Kalinic, deflected by Ricky Sanchez.
Good effort by Sanchez in transition. Well, there's Belitza and Makvan. They're sitting there going, you know, can I make this team? Can I get on the ticket?
They started practicing, coming off injuries in both cases in the last 48 hours, so they're getting ready.
That's a great decision. Tough decision, but that's what coaches are paid for. Tough decision for Djordjevic. With like this team doing so well, does he need to add players?
Huge breakdown. And Raduljica all the way for the dunk. Nice and easy. Correa, fouled by Simonovic.
Personal foul number 5, Marko Simonovic. His second.
Marco commits his second, and now it's the team's fourth. Puerto Rico already over the limit.
Team penalty, Serbia.
14 to shoot. Arroyo, all the way. Yes.
Arroyo.
Carlos now with 12. Correa with 14 for Puerto Rico. Miroslav looking to pass, but he traveled.
Substitution, Serbia.
Nedovic comes in for Bogdanovic. Nedovic also having a fine tournament, especially in the assist category. Allen will come back in for Puerto Rico, replacing Ramon Clemente. Mercevic is back in for Kalinic. And they don't miss a beat. Barea misses. And again, he stays behind, unhappy with a no call. And now he comes up forward, and Serbia helped them by not pulling the trigger quickly. But here we go. No foul by Sanchez, just a steal. Holland stripped by Stefan Jovic.
Wow.
The specialty of the house. Behind the Raduljica, too many extra passes, and here comes Holland. He's got Barea up front. Nice thread the needle pass, and Barea finishes. And now, we have an injured Serb on the floor holding his head. It is Bercevic. He went for the ball and just banged on the hip and thigh of John Holland.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be.
He's got a stinger.
And he may have a bit of a stiff neck as well, big shoulder, but no need to risk him anymore in this game at the moment anyway.
Bercevic has played 16 minutes, perfect from the field, including 2 threes, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 13 points. What did he not give you? Oh, by the way, good defense too.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, another guy, he's back here next year, but had an okay season in Spain, but he's again just risen his level with his team.
Puerto Rico playing a little zone here. Wow. Foul by Holland on Raduljica. And Sanchez didn't like that contact. That's the last thing we need.
John Holland, his second.
Oof.
Yeah,
Let's see, elbow? Not really.
He's not even, they're not even wide, are they? He's just ripping it through, but...
As Nemanja Dangovic comes into the court. Holland will be playing for the Boston Celtics in the veteran camp coming up. It's going to be a different Celtic team now with Al Horford, the Dominican. On that team as Litza makes the free throw. More substitutions. Fan favorite, Vladimir Stimac enters the game. Litza will take a seat. They love Vladimir. Plays for Red Star.
Fans always love guys that just leave it all out there. He is one of those that's a blue-collar worker. Best way to describe him. Just does everything he does is a work rate, judged by work rate.
And according to head coach Sasha Djordjevic, the heart of the Serbian national team this year.
Well, I see it'll be interesting. He's one of the guys that might be, at threat with the other two coming back as Barrera just makes the three.
Which only underscores how much of a selfless effort and how we have to recognize a guy that not only is giving his all, but enjoying it.
Yep.
This is a thrill. If he gets to Rio, that would be a plus. You gotta love a guy like that. Simonovic.
But if he's your heartbeat, it's tough to go without your heartbeat.
Barrera. A three and the assist by Arroyo. And a timeout by Sasha Djordjevic. A 30-point lead is not enough, as Puerto Rico right now leads Serbia this quarter by 3, but is down overall by 30.
I tell you what, the last couple of minutes has shown is underlined again the great effort defensively to serve put on the floor. Because as soon as they leave Barrera open, as soon as they let him play, he's going to knock down shots. And they have just prevented that for like 2.5, three quarters. And as soon as you take it off that little bit, you start scoring. And that's the difference, and that's the difference between the Serbians and Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico are a great team. Serbia just different level today. Markovic, it doesn't matter if it's Markovic, Jovic, whoever it is, denial, make you put it on the floor, no points in transition.
Well, you say Serbia's better today. Serbia's better right now. In other words, in this moment in history.
Oh, yeah.
Outclassing Puerto Rico and showing it. And we're talking not about necessarily a collection of individual talents, just the way they understand and the way they execute basketball.
It's always the way with Serbian teams, it's the collective.
Again, Puerto Rico playing a little zone here. Joe is trying to find Stimac. Guarded by Sanchez. Deflected by Diaz. Barrera. Telegraph pass intercepted by Nedovic. Nedovic just read that.
Barrera asked for it.
And a mistake on the pass.
And then gave it across court when there was a drive lane wide open.
A couple of silly mistakes by either team here. With 1:11 to go in this third quarter. Simonovic right in the mug of Sanchez. Barrera with a tough three. Stimac cleans up the board. Jovic all the way. No good. Foul, and it's on Stimac. Looking for that rebound. How did he miss that shot? He went right by Sanchez. And he had space.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I thought, Sanchez didn't do a bad job. He's just a wide open layup he's missing. Yeah.
Maybe a little shove.
Yeah,
it was so subtle. My bad. Plays for Red Star, one of 4 players. So a third of the Serbian national team represented here plays for Red Star. Their big rival, Partizan. And Partizan has a representative in this, what they call the Orlovi, the Eagles. That is Stefan Bercevic, a player that was injured earlier, having such a nice all-around game. Last 30 seconds of the third. Puerto Rico winning this quarter by 5. No Teodosic in the second half. Jokic having an extended vacation. Sanchez with the rebound. Arroyo against Dimas, the 3. A rebound by Holland and a putback in time.
2 points.
John Holland with the last word in this third quarter, but so far it's been deafening. The Serbians a quarter away from getting their way and booking flights in early August to Rio de Janeiro and ending a 12-year Olympic drought as Holland puts it back for Puerto Rico. They win the quarter by 7, but Serbia wins overall by 26 at the start of the fourth quarter.
Well, it's as close as they've been for a while, 82-56. They've got Barrera going, and Arroyo's got, picking up stuff. Holland with a big rebound at the end. But look, they're still at the same percentages they were at the halftime. Serbia 70-2 and 47. The only thing that's really changed, Puerto Rico started to make a few buckets, largely because the defense is like half a step where it was, off where it was in the first half. And now Djordjevic is now rotating players, so Serbia trying to manage out this game now. It's a 26-point game, and at the moment they're still in control.
The only question for me is Eddie Casiano has opted to play with about 6 players his entire third quarter. At some point they need rest.
Yeah, but it's
their best lineup.
Yeah, but without Arroyo and Barrera on the floor, it's what's going to happen. It's, how bad will it get? So he's going to give those, I would say he'll give those guys a little bit more of a time right here at the start, and then he'll start to rotate people in. There's nothing to save him for as such. If the game was close, then he might be in the manager minutes. If he can get this under 20, who knows? 14-0 run would make life a little bit interesting. We'll make it a 12-point game, which is what they had in the fourth quarter the other night.
Turned out to be a 2-possession game at the end. Kalinic back on the court after the timeout by Djordjevic. Intercepted by Holland. Wow, there was contact with Markovic and no call. And a 3 by Bogdanovic. That was not a foul.
Yeah, I've seen that call because there was just a bit of bump and a bit of stop it, but Markovic did a really smart thing, kept his hands right out of there.
Murray explores with a dribble. Gets it back. Kalinic deflected by Holland. That must be his 4th deflection. What a tournament John Holland's had here in Belgrade. A nice cut inside against Arroyo. Bogdanovic benefits. And now Bogdan has 23 to lead all scorers. 22 for Barrera. Ball's out of bounds, off Carlos Arroyo. Substitutions by Puerto Rico. Guillermo Diaz will come in, not quite a point guard, more of a shooting guard. Vasallo will be coming in. Barea will take a breather, and so will John Holland. So Arroyo remains, and remember, Arroyo has a very important place in Eddie Casiano's heart. And I believe he may leave him as long as he wants to close out this game, which may be the last one at this level for Carlos. That's a 3 by Simonovic. Marko Simonovic stroking it. He's got 11.
Well, it's sit back and enjoy. It's one of those games where, it's a 34-point game. Sit back and enjoy a team that shares it, loves playing with each other, loves moving the basketball, loves sharing it, gets a joy out of the game.
Inside to Diaz, and he puts it in. Nice pass by Vasallo. Now again, because in some cases you get the assist on a play that ends up at the free throw line, Jokić will stroll down the river here in Belgrade. The Serbs have 32 assists and 30 made baskets. Arroyo with a discount. Ali, no, just came out of his hands.
Wasn't enough Ali. It just wasn't above the ring enough.
Cross-down pass to Vasallo. Gets his own rebound. Diaz with a cut. Nice move by the big man.
2 points for head Diaz.
Showing a little bit of learning over the years. Diaz will be the future of this team. Parea's 31. He'll be back for another cycle. Jorge Brian Diaz will be there. Everybody else, you don't know. No look pass by Jokić. He's had a couple in this tournament. This one didn't work. And a tactical foul on Arroyo. He's getting pats of recognition by his opponents today.
You see Arroyo though, had no idea where Simonovic was cutting. And that slow-mo, just, you could have replayed that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. You'd have seen players not knowing where people were cutting.
Guillermo Diaz ended up averaging almost 6 assists this year. He worked with Ivan Nieves and Carlos Morales Jr. and refashioned his body and his approach, becoming more of the point guard that the Clippers wanted when they drafted him many years ago. Vasallo offline. He is 1.91 m. He's 6'3". Streaky shooter, can make the three. But at that body size, he's projected to be a point guard. What a move! What body control by Jokić, and the assist by Bogdanović.
Jokić is just, well, he's the package. If he gets a little stronger as he gets a little older, then, wow, there's not a lot he can't do.
Ball comes out of the hands of Arroyo. And Bogdanović just lines up another three. Look at this. Toying with the Puerto Rican rebounders. We're undersized, mind you. Diaz at least. Oh, look at that. He couldn't get the handle. The ball bounces off his hands and into the basket.
Well, that sums it up. And you've got a very knowledgeable crowd here who are just sitting there, they're applauding. I don't know why they're booing right now.
Are they booing the opponents? Sanchez, a three by Ricky Sanchez. Made 2 of 4 3-pointers. Or do they want someone off the bench that hasn't played? That could be the other one. We've had a youngster not play so far, and that would be...
I think they've all been in now.
I think you're right.
Yeah, they've all been in.
Stevens has been in, the fan favorite.
Yeah, thank you. Gubic only came in briefly.
Jokić is out. It may be done with 5:30 to go. Jokić right now, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal.
Now, while this replay's going on, Carlos Arroyo's getting hugged by everybody. Moment with Barrera. And it's probably taking him out. That's probably an end of a great international career.
Depending on where he plays next year, he may be playing in these qualifying windows in the new FIBA format. That is a huge three. And Simonovic hustles to get the ball back for Serbia. He's not done. A foul by Sanchez on the shove. So he may play in some of those windows. If he plays in the Puerto Rican League, he will definitely play in those windows. But then will he play in China in 2019 if Puerto Rico qualifies? And when he will be 39 years old. Bogdanović with a three. Stroking it. 6 of 10 behind the arc. Not bad, huh?
Well, there's not many shooting techniques as we get a look at Carlos Arroyo on the bench as good as Bogdanović. He's out the textbook, great stroke, great touch, technically so proficient.
Diaz Rebounded by Stefan Jovic. Cross court. And over to Kalinic for the three. No, it's a two. It's a long two. Everything's dropping. Everything's dropping, including the spirits of the visiting Puerto Rican team.
If there was the option to finish the game, I'm sure these guys would want to finish it and get out of here right now, because this is a demonstration by Serbia that Bogdanovic sits down to a standing ovation, which he really deserves, because in anybody's book, he's a great shooter, he's a great scorer, he passes the basketball, but then again, they all do.
26 points, 2 rebounds, and 8 assists with only 1 turnover. As Puerto Rico will also empty the bench. Vasallo on the court, as is David Huertas, and Clemente gets fouled on the way to the basket. Jorge Brian Diaz. So let's review the ages of this Puerto Rican lineup. They have 8 players that are 30 or over. Then you have Ricky Sanchez at 29. He'll be back, you assume. But you hope to see a different Ricky Sanchez if they make it to China. Vasallo's 29. I think he underperformed in this tournament. He'll tell you that. And then you have Jorge Brian Diaz and John Holland, who's 27. That's the core. That's the core when you look ahead at the next cycle. They do have a promising harvest of kids. Not very tall, but very fundamentally sound, and with interesting international experience. Learned it in the FIBA game at the age of 17 and 19. Came in 5th in the Under-17 World Championships in Doha in 2014, and beat some outstanding teams, including Canada, Italy, and Spain, on the way to that 5th place.
So, like, the issue for me is that
a little travel by Stevens.
The issue for me is that at that age they're able to compete because they're good athletically or whatever, for whatever reason. But then, like, if you look at the players who are able to compete now at this level, and you have to say Holland's shown he can compete, I mean really compete, and Barrera obviously in Arroyo. And they're not, they've gone out and they're playing in different leagues, whether it be Europe, whether it be in the NBA. So not everyone can play in the NBA. But these guys have got to try and broaden, or the Federation has to try and broaden their experience internationally.
And the first thing they need to do, and new Federation President Yum Ramos already spoke about it, there's always been a problem in Puerto Rico, and FIBA is really upset about it, as we see Vasallo shoot. It has to be the league that starts the latest, and of course finishes the latest, putting the national team at a tremendous disadvantage, as we see the Japanese look on.
Yeah, and their issues, even though the Puerto Ricans are above the level of Japan, are very similar apart from that one, which is a big one. In the sense that you've got to get outside of Japan, you've got to get outside of Puerto Rico as a team. You know, if you can get players playing in different leagues around the world, great. But your national team has to go and play other national teams.
And they need to play outside the region.
Absolutely.
As Venezuela has so smartly done, and you'll see a Venezuelan team in the Olympics that will open up some eyes if you haven't seen them play. Head coach Néstor Garcia from Argentina. Wow, that's just a tough pass for Diaz.
Did well to control that, did Diaz.
Yeah. Huertas with a nice bump fake, but he loses control and he's fouled. Néstor Garcia has done it up well. That team stunned the Canadians on their way to, and beat the Argentines, no less, on their way to a berth in Rio. And they've only gotten better. A couple of players have joined that concentration now, including Gravis Vasquez, coming off an injury. Gravis will have to prove that he can fit into that team at this point. Nothing's given after see a foul on Stimats. But Puerto Rico will make that change. I think Yum Ramos will make sure, he said, I need 45 days before a major tournament for my national team. That means 15 days for people to heal and 30 days for the coaching staff to get the team ready. And the next step will be finances. Can they take this team on a tour of Europe, say? Or invite European teams to Puerto Rico?
Well, you only have to look at some of the stories of, you know, the Australians. There's no team further away than the rest of the world than Australia and New Zealand. So the Australians, at various points, have brought groups, not necessarily the national team, but have brought age group teams. They've brought teams on tours. Their women's team has just spent a period of time preparing for the Olympics while the other teams are preparing for Olympic qualifying tours. And men will do the same scenario. You've got to go out of your region. And Australia and New Zealand have the advantage of becoming part of Asia Basket, so they're going to have more regular competition, but they come to Europe or they go to America and they get that exposure of level of competition.
And another thought, Mark, as we're looking on to the last 2 minutes and a half of this game for Puerto Rico, they are a possession, a territory of the United States, and they naturally look to the NBA as a model. Well, guess what? They have only 2 players, if you include John Holland, and they won't get too many players playing in the NBA. And to me, more than the wake-up call this game represents for Puerto Rico, this should tell Puerto Rican fans and knowledgeable coaches and players in Puerto Rico, you know what? Let's study the Serbs. Let's study how they play.
Nice touch there.
We want to have a medal at some point. We want to even go to an international tournament. We need to learn their game. They're playing it at the highest level. Take this tape, look at it, forget about the Puerto Ricans in red. Look at the guys in white and how they execute it. That orientation towards the FIBA game is something that needs to happen further. It's begun in Puerto Rico. You need to go further.
Well, and there's no better example as Djordjevic just threw Teodosic in and took him straight out just so he can get the recognition from the crowd. You look at like Bogdanovic and Teodosic. That's not about athleticism. That's about ability. That's about fundamental ability.
Dangovic with a miss, and the crowd gets on their feet, ready to celebrate as we have another turnover by Puerto Rico. They're 18th in this game. Timeout, Eddie Casiano. And I think, wait, no timeout? No. Apparently not.
I was going to say, I'd be surprised if Casiano took one in the circumstance.
And Djordjevic just took a look at Casiano saying, what do you mean? Simonovic had a wide open 3, but why? Give it to Nedovic for history. Share the ball, make everybody happy.
Yep.
Vasallo with his corner 3, it's in. He is a great shooter. He just did not have a great tournament.
But again, he shoots the ball really, really well. But like at this level, he's being asked to shoot the ball a little quicker. He's being asked to move more before he gets it, which is the thing he's got to actually learn to do.
So hopefully the Puerto Rican League will begin to have a calendar that's more akin to Serbia's and everybody else's. And I'll tell you why. What's amazing about that is there's a number of team owners in Puerto Rico that have made that decision without the benefit of an economic study of any sort. It's just their hunch. That's got to end, and it will end, as we will see the last minute of a 30-point trashing by Serbia. A push, no foul. Stimac with the 2 offensive boards and the basket for Serbia.
Well, they're 30 seconds away from a party. They're punching their ticket. This game is a team game, and they play at the team game better than anybody else. They move the ball, everybody gets touches, and every single person buys into what they're trying to do.
Diaz to the line on the foul. Makes the first. Guillermo played for the Hierrezuelo captains. They won the championship. Puerto Rico has some youngsters that can play the point guard position. Normally that's the one area that Puerto Rico has never had a dearth of, but they're coming up a little short as some of the better, more experienced players are getting older. They need a replacement as we have a 4-second difference between clocks. And players begin to hug each other, and the Puerto Ricans begin to congratulate the qualifying tournament champions, Republic of Serbia. That is the end of the game, and Serbia will be going to Rio. The 12-year wait is over. 108-77. They dominate Puerto Rico, and Sasha Djordjevic with a nice tender touch saying goodbye to a great Puerto Rican player, Carlos Arroyo, probably playing his last game at this level, wearing that uniform. unbeaten Serbia will be a power to reckon with in Brazil, no doubt.
Well, it's a big congratulations to them, but the last point we made, it's a team. They moved the ball really well. Djordjevic is off. He's out of the gym. He wants his players to celebrate. He doesn't want to be part of that. That's right as well. Let the players enjoy the accolade with the crowd. But this team share the ball as well as any team I can be aware. I'm aware of at the moment. They've got players to add. They could be a medal contender in Rio. It's been a privilege to watch them play basketball because they got some stars on that group, but they play for each other. That's what this game is about, doing it for each other. Those stats again, the only one anyone's really going to worry about. 108.77. Now obviously they cooled down a little bit, but that first quarter was as good as it gets.
Yes, it ended up 37-11. That's where they got the 26-point lead. They just never looked back. They wrapped up their win here in the tournament in that first quarter. Jokic having a wonderful game. Bogdanovic stopping the scoring. Board and the assist as well. The captain addresses the team. We're going to Rio. And I should say, in their point of view, it's about time.
Yeah. And who knows who might have that white uniform on. Does Belitza come back? Does McMahon play? It doesn't really matter because it's the sum of the parts is the most important thing. And Djordjevic has done his first thing now. Then we're going to get into the ticket. Now we're going to get into the MVP of the competition. From a personal perspective, for me, Jokovic should get that accolade because he's just announced himself on the world scene.
Indeed. Nikola Jokic today, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Top scorer in the tournament, top rebounder in the tournament. I would give him my vote as well. We'll find out what that result will be as we're ready for the ceremonial part of the end of the tournament. By the way, we should also congratulate not only the Serbian team, but the local organizing committee, the city of Belgrade, the citizens of Belgrade, and the staff that worked this tournament. They made it a very fun and very efficient and very professional setting.
Exactly. This is basketball country, basketball place. They know how to run tournaments. Done a great job.
It has been a true pleasure to be here for a week and enjoy this level of basketball.
Goes to player number 14 of Serbia, Nikola Jokic.
Nikola Jokic becomes the most outstanding player. Well justified.
Absolutely. You talked about him a lot right before the tournament. He's had a good season in the NBA. And he's almost gone on another level. If he takes that back into the NBA after whatever he's going to do at the Olympic Games, you're going to see this guy a lot.
When you consider his age and you consider his talent, he's 21 years old. He could end up being at some point, and never easy, an NBA All-Star. That's how good he is as he gets some of the hardware.
So watch. He could be an Olympic medalist, even bigger than anything in the Olympic medalist.
And now the ticket. First class, I should add.
Yep.
Congratulations, you are going to Rio. That's what it says around.
Yeah, that's an expensive ticket, first class from here.
Yes. They'll swim if they have to.
Oh, yeah.
And there's Markovic saying, hey, it's first class.
First class. Hey, and they deserve first class because they've been first class the way they've played this game here. On and off the court. Players really show what it means to get to Olympic Games.
So much talent that's not even here that may reinforce this team when they go to Rio.
Prvi put posle 1988. godine naša zemlja imaće predstavnike na košarkaškim.
As we now have the first team in, we will find out at the end of Manila whether France or Canada will be the third qualifier. Croatia and Italy were playing a little bit behind this game as the senior women's national team looks on as well with great pride.
Well, they're on the floor as well.
Yes.
You know, they punched their ticket at Eurobasket. You got a picture of Malkovich, and you talked about coaching dynasties. You know, they don't come any bigger than the Malkovich name when it comes to, coaches from this part of the world. So the men both will be medal contenders come the games in Rio.
There is a thrill for these players to be playing with each other and to be playing basketball the way it should be played. There is a selflessness in this team. There is an effort on defense and a pride in really shutting down the opponent and executing a game plan that bodes very well for Serbia as they'll meet some tough cookies in Brazil. And for Puerto Rico, the achievement of getting to the final and for the 4th tournament in a row. They have to beat the host to make it to the Olympics, and they fail. It's the Sisyphus of world basketball.
Well, and they had a great tournament, and Serbia had to play great to beat them this way. It wasn't like Puerto Rico really came out badly. It's Serbia just came out the top draw.
They beat Latvia, but it was very clear at the start of this game that they were not in the same class. They've got a lot of work to do. They played well. If you think of Puerto Rico in the World Cup of Basketball in 2014 and the FIBA Americas in Mexico City, they played much better. Eddie Casiano quickly becoming an asset for that team. So, Mark, it's been a pleasure, first of all, to work with the FIBA television crew, the cameramen, the producers, the directors. They've done a tremendous job. They've been as good a team as Serbia and as selfless a team here. It's been a pleasure to work with you again. Hopefully we